Welcome back to another game of Damascus, and we have InsertName versus InfinityChef. So InsertName is on Naya Hounds, which is a tribal aggro deck, and InfinityChef is on Burn, which is also an aggro deck. So I feel like this will be a pretty fast matchup. It's aggro versus aggro, and really fast aggro decks at that. InfinityChef might be favored here just because their Burn also serves as removal for InsertName's tribal creatures. InsertName has kept a 6-card hand. Yeah, they have a pretty good hand. They have a bunch of 1-drops and a 2-drop Tribal Lord, and some lands to go with it. And meanwhile, InfinityChef has to keep a 5-card hand. But they do get some creatures and burn and lands, I guess. Basalt is probably going to be used to kill a creature. Although Basalt doesn't kill Tribal Lords because they're 2/2s. InfinityChef draws Scorch. That thing will kill Enoch Hunter. So it seems like InfinityChef's gonna lead off on Basalt killing the creature. I guess InfinityChef is just going with the plan of kill all Naya Hounds creatures so that they can't do anything. Unfortunately for InfinityChef, InsertName has a handful of creatures. I think InfinityChef just playing Burn instead of their own creatures is not going to be fast enough won't be good enough to beat Hounds. Now they get Banished Companion. They're going to Scorch and Enoch Alpha. I mean, now they get to play one of their creatures. And like I feel like all three of these creatures can be argued for. Actually, in Raptor Countess might have been a better play there because if you draw a land next turn, then you get to use Blaze Memory on Scorch to kill another of InsertName's creatures. Since you're already going on the kill all of InsertName's creatures plan. So InsertName gets their 3rd land. They can play Enoch Hunter plus one of their 1-drops. And they decide to lead with Enoch Lout. So InfinityChef actually draws their 3rd land, and that's why I mentioned in Rapid Countess play. Because if they did play in Rapid Countess last turn, and then they play Scorch on Enoch Hunter, I guess they swing with the Rapid Countess for 2. Also, InsertName has taken a lot more damage from their lands than InfinityChef. It seems like, they're just going to drop all their creatures. Probably should have done it post-combat, or at least played in Raptor Countess post-combat, but I don't think it matters here that much. So they're going to swing out with Suitor plus Banished Companion. InsertName can decide to trade trade their creatures, but I'm not sure if that's good for InsertName or not. InsertName decides to block after all, trading Enoch Lout for Suitor of the Sea. InsertName draws another land. They can play Fierce Combatant and the Tail, but I don't think that's all that useful. It does mean that both players are empty-handed, except InfinityChef still has the Tail on Enraptured Countess. And just going off of what's in hand currently, I think InsertName actually loses the race. Or no, they win the race because Banished Companion hits both players. I think InsertName's probably fine with just attacking here. Are they going to use Adventure or the Tail? I guess they decide to keep the Tail for next turn in case they draw their creature. InfinityChef gets whacked for 4. And they top deck in their land, so not very good for them. They can Enrapture Countess one of their spells, most likely Scorch. Then they have to decide whether to hit Enoch Hunter or Fierce Combatant with Scorch. I mean, Enoch Hunter is probably the better target, just because it gets rid of the tribal buff. Fierce Combatant is kind of scary because it can give whatever InsertName draws next haste, but haste is a lot less scarier when Tribal Lord is dead. InfinityChef can also Scorch Face, but since they're still losing the race, I think they kind of do need to Scorch InsertName's creatures. And they're kind of committed to doing that because they've already used all their burn spells on InsertName's creatures, so they're kind of committed to that plan. And they're just really hoping that InsertName's in top deck Endless Helpless Souls because that would make up their removal moot. InsertName fetching before draw. Let's see what they top deck. Another land. Okay, so they're still going to swing here. And InsertName's just, well, now they have the mana to, if they top deck EHS, they can play EHS and use the Tail on Fierce Combatant. I think it's draw EHS or bust here. Or not really, because InfinityChef draws yet another land. Both players are just top decking lands here. Yeah, even more lands. Oof. I think if InsertName keeps attacking, Ferris Combatant's Tail can get one more damage in. That knocks InfinityChef down to 6. And then that makes the race even, I think, because Banished Companion hits both players. So if both players just keep drawing lands, then InsertName still wins the race, I think. Of course, the problem is that I don't think both players are going to keep drawing lands. InsertName is more worried about InfinityChef top decking a burn spell because that probably just wins the game for them. InsertName just has to survive until they top deck EHS or something. InsertName deciding to swing with Fierce Combatant for 1. That does mean that InsertName is dead to a burn spell top deck because Enraptured counts as prowess. I don't think InsertName can really. Well, they win if they top deck EHS, right? Or any other lord. Actually, no, just EHS. I guess they decide to take the risk of just attacking here instead of trying to play around a burn spell from the top. And yeah, InfinityChef top deck the burn spell and wins the game. Because Unjust Sentence deals 3, which buffs Enraptured Countess, and then they swing for 4. Is there anything that InsertName has that InfinityChef might want to play around? I don't think they have any instant speed stuff, so yeah. So that was a pretty quick game 1, where both players started drawing lands after a while, and then InfinityChef's plan of just using removal on all of InsertName's creatures actually worked out. So InfinityChef, knowing that it's a creature matchup, is definitely going to bring in 4 Fork Pillars. I think that's mostly it. InsertName, meanwhile, knowing that it's a burn matchup, is definitely going to bring in the 1 Solar Flare and also nip at the heels for the creatures. And probably Scorch too, because it's a race and also kills creatures. And we're back for game 2. InsertName is on the play, and they draw a hand with no land, so they're going to have to mulligan that. 1 land hand. I think they may have to mulligan that again. Especially since they have a 1-drop, but only 1/1-drop, so it's kind of risky to keep this hand. InfinityChef also draws a hand with 1 land, but I think they're way happier with keeping this hand because they have way more 1-drops. And InsertName has to mulligan down to 5, but now they actually get a good hand with 3 land and EHS. They might bomb 1 of the lands anyways because they have a 1-drop and a 2-drop. But at the same time, turn 3 EHS is just really good, so we'll see what InsertName decides to keep. Decide to bomb the land after all, and hope to draw another land by the time they play EHS. So it seems like they're leading off on this shock fetch instead of a Nebula on 3. They're fetching basic. I guess, yeah, they have all the mana they need. Or, no, they don't, because now that they fetch like that, if they draw a red land, then they can't cast EHS on 3. Well, no, because I'm pretty sure all the lands in their deck can produce more than just red. Yeah, so I guess that fetching decision probably is correct. And they draw their 3rd land. Okay, so they do have turn 3 EHS coming up. Definitely pretty happy about that. They can fetch a forest here if they really want to. They might just play Nebula. They decide to play Nebula, probably on 2. Or maybe, no, they're playing on 2. Okay. So Enoch Alpha comes down, or Enoch Hunter comes down. And they're going to swing with the 2/2 Fierce Combatant. Is InfinityChef going to trade Suitor for it? I mean, I don't think they are, because Suitor is worth more to them alive than dead. They get the Fork Pillar Enoch Hunter, which is really good, because it kills the Enoch Hunter and deals 2. They can do something like Orchestrate Storm Surge, play Fork Pillar, kill Enoch Hunter, and then kill Fierce Combatant after that too. I guess they're playing Enraptured Countess instead. No, they're going to play Banished Companion and swing. Well, I guess it's under pressure now. So InsertName has to shock themselves to play EHS. They drop Brothers Reunion. Well, they can't play Brothers Reunion because they don't have the right colors of mana unless they shock themselves with Amber Hills. I guess they're going for turn 3 EHS. So now they're dead to. Oh no, they're just dead because Suitor triggers, so that brings them down to 6, and then 2 Storm Surges deals the remaining 6 damage. So unless InsertName EHS is into Solar Flare or something, I think they're just dead. Or maybe a removal spell for a Suitor. They probably boarded in a bunch of Nip at the heels and Scorches, so. Okay, yeah, and there's Nip at the heel, and there's Brothers Reunion off the EHS. That's even more creatures off the top. And if they can flip a haster off Brothers Reunion, then they can swing and get another guy. They're going to Reunion first, I guess. And they flip Fierce Combatant, so now they can trigger Reunion again this turn. But they're going to take Great Pelt Initiate instead. I guess it's because they need some way to kill the Banished Companion, I guess. I wonder why I didn't take Fierce Combatant though, right? Because yeah, if they put Fierce Combatant to play, then they could swing with both Fierce Combatants and then trigger Brothers Reunion again. But then I guess that just leaves a single blocker for Banished Companion. I guess InsertName would rather have more blockers so that they don't die to removal. But at the same time, if all of InfinityChef's removal also hits face, so there wasn't really that much of a difference. Well, they're going to swing with Banished Companion, and I'm pretty sure InsertName's going to block. Okay, they decide to actually trade with Banished Companion with their Great Pelt Initiate. That's kind of strange. And now InfinityChef is going to Storm Surge, Valkyrie Dissident, and then play Valkyrie Dissident. Now that puts InsertName on the clock, because if they cast one more spell, then they're dead to Storm Surge. If they don't cast any more spells, they're still dead to Enraptured Countess, getting something back, and then Storm Surge. I think InsertName might just have to go all in with finding something. Seems like InsertName is going to play Brothers Reunion first, so that brings them down to Storm Surge range. And let's see what they flip. Yeah, that's not going to do it. Well, actually it might, if they... Yeah, because now they have two Brothers Reunions down, so they swing with both of their guys, and they get to trigger both Brothers Reunions, and I guess they can hope to hit a bunch of Lords. I still don't think that's enough for lethal. Because, right, if each of these guys hits a Lord, then they still max out at 8 damage. Oh, Enoch Alpha, that's a good start. And Baras and Highguard. So yeah, they do flip 2 Lords off these guys, but that's not going to be enough to win the game. In fact, they might have even misplayed here, right? Or wait, so those guys get +3/+3, so yeah. And if InsertName shock themselves with Summit Highlands to play Fierce Combatant's Tail, then that still wouldn't be enough because InsertName can just trump block with Valkyrie Dissident. So yeah, I don't think InsertName had a way to win that game there. They really need to hit a Solar Flare off the EHS or something like that. And now InsertName's just dead to Storm Surge. An extremely quick set of games.